It's good to see you too. Sorry, we were just talking about it. Welcome back to the Cellman Podcast. I am Wade Abid with Matthew Bradley Brozick, where we are having conversations we would have had anyway.
We did it. Look at that.
There you go. This is episode 26, I think.
Yeah. And to do an announcement for everybody is we are doing every other week now for the summer because we're too damn busy doing other fun stuff and we don't want to sit here all the time. So we have a cool guest today and a couple of things to say. Do you have anything to say?
I do. We have round robin now. We went east, and now we're going west.
What does that mean?
Our guest.
Okay, yeah. That makes more sense.
From the west.
Like, what are you talking about? We gotta do two things though, really quick.
All right, two things.
Okay, so Silman Podcast stickers. So Nate, you might be a little bit young, but like I would tell people all the time, if you were a band in high school and you had a sticker or a merch table, you were like cool. It doesn't matter how bad your music was. So this is your sticker. You get to put this wherever you want.
So I should put that on my Yeti?
You should put that on your Yeti. Absolutely, 100%.
Or your guitar.
Yep, whatever you want to do. And so thank you, Pastel Pencil. And you know who Pastel Pencil is?
I don't, but I'm excited to learn now.
She's a young entrepreneur. You know who she is. Her name's Ada. And
Really?
she is doing our stickers for us. So she owns a little sticker business. Yeah. So she provides all that and all of our other marketing needs. Go check out Pastel Pencil on the gram. Speaking of the gram, is there anybody else on the gram that we want to talk about, Wade?
I want to give a shout out, first out to my mom.
Yeah.
Say thanks to my mom.
What's your mom's name again?
Roberta.
That's right.
So thank you, Bobby.
What's up, Roberta?
And at Bolton Mink Studios on the gram, real people, real solutions, real big coffee cups. Mm-hmm. You should probably start getting onto TikTok now, though, because the gram is. I think they're duking it out. I really do. So
Tony, figure that out.
Tony,
do a study.
We need a TikTok on the whiteboard here soon.
Yeah.
Okay. You do that, and then have a Bolton Mink dance. Have a couple pocket protectors. People wearing zip-off pants and some Keens. You know, like engineers do.
It's gonna be good.
It's going to be great.
That was a great intro.
I was pumped up for today.
We've been bottling that up for a couple of weeks. We're like ready to go now.
Yeah.
So our guest today, Nate Olsen. Disclaimer, we know each other. So you are technically, like, you're related to my wife.
Yeah, my dad is her cousin.
Yeah, so you'd be a second cousin.
But I'm closer in age to your wife than my dad is, so I've always kind of viewed her as more of a cousin.
Yeah, she babysat you back in the day is what I heard when she was babysitting at like 7 years old or whatever she did. But yeah. So
that's why it turned out so well, you know.
She's still trying to mold me.
Yeah, well, that's a lifetime project. Yeah, she signed up for it by choice.
It's been a while, but anyway,
it's a good trade-off. Okay, it worked out.
So first of all, thank you for coming in.
Yeah, thank you.
We had Adam Freeze, Coach Freeze for the Mankato East Boys on 5-10 episodes ago or something like that, whatever it was. And we were talking hockey, and then at that point, I'm like talking to you, whatever, and then I find out a little bit later that you are the new Boys West Scarlet head hockey coach, right? You got the job?
That's correct, yeah, May 11th. I got married May 15th, and my wife, Alicia.
Beautiful wedding, by the way.
Thank you.
Hey, Alicia, you look great.
Yeah, she does.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yep, but no, yeah, it was, we were filling Reese's jars, these little jars we had on our table for all our guests, and about 9 o'clock that Monday of our wedding week, we got the call, and I'm glad she was there because her support was number one in terms of what was necessary for me to be able to do this because it's going to take a lot of extra time.
Yep.
But yeah, May 11th, Joe Johnson AD offered me the job, and I happily accepted. And ready. We're on week 4 of our summer program already. It's been a blast so far, and I've been with the program 8 years. So this will be my 9th year with it. First as the head coach, last 8 as an assistant. And
you played for the Scarlets.
I did.
So you were what position did you play?
I played left wing.
Yeah. Are you a right-handed shot? You're left-handed.
I am a right-handed shot.
Dude, how was it playing on your off wing on the left wing? Because that's what I did in men's league, and I like it way better than my strong side.
It's way better for scoring goals.
Yes. I want the glory shot. Like, I want the OV, like, right on top of the circle. Like, that's what I was going for. I didn't really care about, dig pucks out of the corner.
Had to work on that as well as catching passes on the wall, my backhand a little bit, and getting pucks up the wall. But that's just Coach Nate kind of coming out a little bit there. Any of my wingers that are listening, but yeah, it was great. I feel really fortunate because of that You know, that's I have a lot of pride and passion in the program because of what I've seen it do for not just me, but my peers and then some of the kids we've been able to coach. And we talk family a lot. We hashtag family on every tweet we send out. And it's been something I've done for years and years and years. And just
It's so weird to say like hashtag family years and years and years.
Yeah.
Because it still seems like hashtagging is relatively new, but it's not.
No.
It's like 10 years old.
I used to be the biggest anti-Twitter guy
Right,
ever,
yeah.
and now I'm like, that's where I consume my news because I can kind of point trusted sources or sports sources, rather than get fed everything all over the map.
Kids are like, what's a newspaper?
Yeah, right.
You know,
Be
You
kind,
grew up without a
rewind,
cell
wave.
phone? What?
what is that?
Yeah. So your wedding was amazing, by the way. And okay, so we have to do this because this is you're gonna love this. So I got something for you.
Oh wow, a gift.
I know. I saw him walking out. I thought, what is this giant
Open
box?
this. I gotta tell you a story.
Okay.
So you can see the label. So you already know what it is.
Oh, I can see the label.
Yep. Okay. So riding to your wedding, Lisa and I found out that we didn't get you a wedding gift yet.
Or you found out.
Exactly.
I found out. Yeah.
She's like, well, I take care of everything else.
Yeah, with 4 kids and all the stuff. And she's like, well, I thought you would like find something that he would like. I'm like, oh, I don't know. So I told her to go because, disclaimer, you are a big UND, North Dakota, Sioux. I don't know if you can say Sioux anymore, but you're a big North Dakota hockey
Sue
fan.
me.
Yeah.
I'm a huge UMD Bulldog hockey fan. So anytime they play each other, we have some fairly funny text messaging going back and forth each time one of the
I feel like the more
scores.
beers as the game goes on, the different the texts get a little bit, but
The shorter they get.
The shorter they
Yeah,
get,
that's right.
maybe more inappropriate. Who knows?
convoluted,
just
whatever.
more points.
That's right.
So the point is this is your wedding gift that I told Lisa when we were on the road to your wedding. I'm like, she went to like, whatever you did, Target or, all the stuff that the girls, beep a bunch of stuff.
Oh,
in
yeah.
you,
But was this a good conversation or was it like, what the hell?
No, it was
we're
actually
driving
good.
here and we have nothing.
No, it was actually really good.
We're going to eat their food and we have no gift.
Well, but even though it's a little late, it's way better than me buying you like a mixer on Target.com.
I'm like a bread maker. Nobody uses that.
So
Nah.
when I was,
I wouldn't even know how, frankly.
it doesn't matter. So you can go ahead and open it on the air for the podcast, and I'm super excited. If you have this already, I'm going to be pissed, but you just open it up. It's awesome.
If Gina and Hastings ever sees this, I'm sorry. She doesn't. She always gives me crap because I am a huge supporter of Maverick hockey team. I
Yes, you
need
are.
to
Yes,
disclaim that.
you are. Big disclaimer.
But I grew up hating the Gophers.
Yeah.
And naturally that led to the North Dakota obsession.
Yeah,
So.
I get that. Yeah. I did the opposite. I went straight to the Bulldogs after, when I hated the Gophers. So
I don't have this, but Alicia's going to love it. And the one spot in our house I could actually decorate is the basement. And it's got a ton of sports memorabilia, and there's not a lick of it anywhere else. Maybe the garage.
yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't change.
I saw this on the website. I'm like, dude, if that was a Bulldog head, I would love it. And since it's your team, I thought you would love it.
That's
One of the
really
greatest
cool.
logos of all time right there. Frankly.
I will say I don't like UND. They're actually, I think, I don't like the team at all. But I will say their logo is pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Colors and everything else, and the history.
Yeah.
There's a lot of tradition there, and that's,
Yep.
big time hockey tradition. And,
Yeah. So there you go.
8 national titles compared to how many for UMD?
3.
Just wanted
Yeah,
to
but how
make
recent
sure
are
we
these
clear.
titles?
How many titles do you have in the last 10 years?
Yeah.
1.
1. How many do we have? 3?
3?
Yeah, that's right.
Is it 3?
Yeah, the most dominant last decade of men's collegiate hockey, I'm pretty sure, went to the Bulldogs. But
See,
And I will give, that's a good, Scott Sandlin, his.
we don't want to
group's done a
start here
great job.
negatively.
Yeah.
Okay, we don't be negative. But
And by the way, Scott Sandelin, he has Ryan Sandelin, who now plays for the Mavericks, who was quite a standout in a few games in the Frozen Four run that they made this last year. So that was
We
pretty
just
cool.
needed a Sandlin, and then the Mavs started winning tournament games.
That's all you needed. So anyway, so there you go.
Thank you very much. I
Congratulations on your
appreciate
wedding.
that.
And beautiful wedding, and it was so cool. It was like a perfect day, perfect temperature, and we had an absolute blast. So thank you for the invite, and there's your very late gift, but anyway, I hope it's worth it.
Thanks for, maybe I'll get you the thank you by like September.
Yeah, it's fine. It's all right.
that'll be just about right on time.
For puck
That's right.
drop, actually. We college hockey almost puck drop. But anyway, so
Well, you're married. You got married.
I did, yep.
My condolences
So, yeah, I've heard that quite a few times, but
from people that are probably pretty smart.
yeah, I mean,
So
there's some give and take there. I frankly just don't know what she saw in me, frankly, but it is what it is.
she saw what you could be.
And she's trying to mold me just like Lisa's molding
That's
that.
what it is. She's like, I can fix him. She's like, I love projects.
She really does too.
Women
She's a
don't
creative
marry what
mind.
they see.
No, they marry
What you could be.
Yeah. Yep. And then they try their best.
Yeah.
Yep.
And you're just like, oh, I like to do things. And she's like, I don't like those things. You're like, well, I do. I'm going to keep doing them. And then,
Yeah.
they give up eventually.
How long you've been married? 15 years? How many is it now? I just had my 10th wedding anniversary.
Don't throw him out on the bus for not knowing the exact number.
No, I'm just saying it feels so much longer than the 15 years. Yeah, seriously.
Well, she might watch this episode. The first
She
one
won't.
of all the 20.
She won't.
Yeah.
She's like, keep making money and shut up.
So this is your little safe haven away from her, huh?
Yeah, you'll see. You'll have a safe haven. You'll go in there, look at that. There's just tears coming down.
I wish I could go to a game.
It's just me and you. I only get to coach hockey now.
Okay, so
Right.
let's go back. What we do is
Yep.
we do like a little bit of a background. So you played hockey in high school. You played hockey all the way through growing up, and so now like take us through the process. Did you play it? I think you did in the state.
Nope, I missed it by a year. So
Oh,
I was a
okay.
freshman.
Okay.
Good friend of mine, Drew Weber, was a freshman on that team.
Okay.
I did not play. I've coached in one. I like to say I was along for the ride for one. The
Sure.
kids. That's such a cool experience for those guys. They literally go to St. Paul and they're just rock stars for a whole week.
I know, it's awesome.
It's just
I
incredible.
mean, it's completely epic if you haven't experienced it before, which is why I wanted to ask some hard hitting stuff here, if you if you don't mind, since the
Heck
state
yeah.
tournament thing stalled. Now that you're the head coach, you're gonna have to step your hair game up. Okay.
Yeah, you got to do some
yeah,
flow.
the sixth
so-
grade, been buzzing number 2, 6th grade.
You've
Since
been
sixth
buzzing
grade.
number 2.
I don't do so good with the long hair, and I mean, I don't know if Felicia would allow that now.
Well, dude, look what
You
Jacob
gotta do
was
it-
able to do,
Dude.
Your
Yeah, my
Jacob,
brother has a mane.
I mean,
Amazing curly
just saying,
brown
amazing
hair.
flow.
If you get to the tourney and you want to make the all lettuce team, I mean, you got to let the salad fly. Okay.
I might need some like racing stripes, some bleach.
I'm just thinking,
I
like-
don't know.
Like we had the guy from the east side on here.
Yeah, he likes to gel his hair.
He
a
was
little
the
bit.
all hockey hair team coach number 1.
But not for long. It was like,
Yeah.
it was like a shave and but I think you could let it rock. Like first season.
See, what I need to do is like make a wager with the kids and say, if
That's
we
what I'm
get
saying.
there,
Yep.
here's what'll happen, and
Yep.
then that way I'm off the hook with my wife too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For every win, I won't cut my hair, but for every loss, I'll do like a number 4 or something.
There you go.
Something like that where
Maybe I can get the beard going real long
Actually,
someday.
that
Well,
would be,
well, that's what I
that'd be
mean.
sweet.
Then they can like
Do the whole thing.
braid it or color it red.
Look
or
like a Viking out there.
something
look like
that.
Jack
Yeah.
Sparrow
Look like
and have a
Jordan
couple.
Owen.
I mean, because that would be an incentive, but you can't let them down so much that if you lose a game or that you shave it back down, it's just like a penalty trim. But if you make the tournament, then you got to let it rip.
We're gonna have to get some creative juices flowing on that. I
gonna be
like
good.
the way you're thinking. The first actually state tournament trip in Mankato, West history was 08. I think you were mentioning.
Yep.
And that group had a bet with the coaches that they'd bleach their hair with the team if they made it, and they did. And boy, that was quite a sight for sore eyes.
But you're not bleaching very much if you got the number
No,
2.
I mean
since
I'd have
sixth
to
grade.
probably do the beard and maybe my eyebrows, so it's really wacky. I don't know.
You should actually just do a giant stash, just like amazing, huge mustache.
Get the curlies on it.
Oh,
Or you could
yeah.
grow the hair out, and if it stinks, it's easy. Just bzz, back to number 2.
Yeah, and trust me, it takes like 5 minutes.
Like
Last
the
year-
bleaching is not good.
Bleaching's tough.
Yeah, it's hard on the
Yeah,
skin
that's,
and the
yeah,
hair.
that's we did it once in high school. That was
But
scalp burned a little.
2011 Bulldogs in the first national championship. They all went bleach blonde, except for Kyle Schmidt, who won the game in overtime against Michigan.
that's because he could think and he could play well because his brain wasn't fried from bleach.
That's exactly right.
I was there for you that game.
Yeah, you were. You were absolutely there.
I really wanted you to be there.
Yeah, I know.
but
Well, I'm not going to go into that.
you had the phone shut off, even I think.
I
if
shut my
recall.
complete phone
Yeah.
off. Yeah, I was in BW3s in Rochester with my wife, and we stopped to watch it. And when Kyle Schmidt,
Where were you coming from? Like Iowa?
we
or
were coming,
something?
we were in Wisconsin, in like
Okay.
Milwaukee or something. So we're coming in, and we stopped and watched the game. And when Kyle Schmidt put the goal in, I literally yelled. I stopped all conversations in all of BW3s. I yelled Kyle Schmidt at the top of my lungs, put my arms in the air, and ran out into the parking lot in the rain and freaking cried. It was the best.
And everybody was just rejoicing. Thank God that lunatic
Yeah,
left.
they're like,
And they all joined you because the whole place was
No one
glued to
cared.
watching 2011.
No one cared. I was the only one that was even watching the game in there.
I was like, she said yes!
Lisa's
To the divorce! Thank you,
We weren't even
God!
married yet. We weren't even married yet.
Oh.
No, we were married in 2012. But anyway, or no, 2010. Whatever. I don't know.
10-year anniversary.
10-year anniversary.
So
yeah.
this is what I have to look forward to. Just neither of you really remember it. I like that.
2011.
That was it was April of 11, and then we were married in June of 11. So yeah,
God.
just a little bit later.
Your wedding was beautiful too. I
Yes,
remember
that was
day.
really fun.
Yeah, that was one of my favorite weddings I've ever not been to.
I didn't know you then.
It was close, but not like wedding invite close.
Okay.
Are you from Iowa?
So I grew up in Mankato. I have
dang
a
it.
ton of Iowa roots though.
Got it.
Yep.
So huge Iowa Hawkeye fan. People call me a little bit crazy sometimes, but I
But your birth
love
certificate's
having fun
from
with
Minnesota.
that. It is.
Okay.
And I speak like it too, Minnesota.
For
Yeah. Well, you
Pete's
have
sake.
to if you're a hockey coach.
That's where I get the hockey from. But
Yeah.
hockey's really growing in Iowa.
Yeah.
A lot of junior hockey down there to try and grow the game, and they're getting
flood
a
the cornfields.
second pro team, yeah,
being-
something like that.
I'm just kidding.
You're being
yeah.
really nice. It's
They
nice.
have Dubuque has isn't
well,
Dubuque has a
Used to be
a junior
Waterloo.
team, right?
Dubuque, Waterloo, Cedar
That's right,
Rapids,
yeah.
Des Moines.
Well, there's a bunch of really good guys that have
Yeah.
come from the Waterloo
Sioux City.
Waterloo Blackhawks, right?
yep.
Yeah.
that's a tough. That's a pretty tough franchise too. Mm-hmm. So
Yeah, I mean, I think there's 5 junior hockey teams: the Iowa Wild, the
Yep.
AHL affiliate of Minnesota
Yep,
Wild,
yep.
and the
Yeah.
new, it's something crazy. Heartlanders, I think it's called, will be
Okay.
like the ECHL teams. So now the Wild will have 2 affiliates: one in Coralville down by Iowa City, and then one in.
I love
Des Moines.
Coralville.
It's a great area.
I'll be there tomorrow or Thursday night. Actually, yeah.
What are you going there for?
I gotta see a thing about a guy.
All right.
I gotta see a guy about a horse. No, I'm going back home to see my mom in Illinois.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, that club will be good
Yeah,
because they'll have community support in Coralville, and there's money down there, and they will embrace that team. for
and
sure.
Iowans like to drink beer, so it'll give them something to go do in the winter and drink beer.
There's nothing wrong with that.
It'd be like another thing they can do.
That's right.
Let's go create crappy hockey and drink beer. That's
It's not going to be crappy. It'll be good.
not as good as Minnesota. Saying.
Not the high school level.
No. High school level.
So go back. Like, I want to know, when you were playing, did you have options to go play juniors at all, or that like wasn't a thing you wanted to do, or like explain to me, because I have a little bit better idea of how hockey works, but for someone who's not listening, like, how does the hockey process go from high school to maybe you reach a junior or D1, or go on to like how was that process for you, and how does that process work?
Yeah. So the process in general for, let's just say, a kid that's growing up wants to play Division I hockey.
Yeah.
You play hockey sometimes year round. I'm a big advocate of trying to do something else. Learn, your body needs to have other skills. Your muscles need to move different ways. Plus, mentally, you just need a break.
Yep.
So I'm a huge advocate of, there's NHL guys that don't skate all summer, for example. That's okay. But you play hockey, you're
Why?
starting to.
But why are you a fan of that? Like,
I just think that you learn different things. Hockey teaches a ton of amazing life skills, and it's part of why I'm so
Yeah.
passionate about it. But you can learn a lot of other things from a lot of different people, sports, activities, whether it's music, etc. And I think those other disciplines help make you more well-rounded person.
okay.
Plus, it just I've seen kids come through there literally playing 12 months a year. Parents are putting 10,000 miles on their vehicle in the summer, driving to the metro or across the
Yeah.
Midwest to keep playing hockey. And I've seen kids lose the love of the game.
Yeah.
Because they're just so burnt out because maybe mom or dad has a different idea of what their son or daughter's goal is. So I always, even in our summer stuff, which is, it's optional.
Yeah.
Most kids do it, but you'll get, hey, sorry, Johnny's got baseball tonight. My reply is always, great. That's awesome. Hope he has a great time. I'm glad to hear he's doing that.
Yeah.
And I think it's important. And I always make sure that's known just because to me that's important that
Yeah.
kids get a chance to meet other kids and get other coaches, learn other life lessons that hopefully are applicable not just to make them a better hockey player, but better people. And 99.9% of the kids that we get to coach at the high school level,
Yep.
your goal is to make them better people because they're not going to be pro or even college hockey players. It's just the reality of it all.
Yep.
So that's kind of my perspective on it, I guess.
You're a young coach.
Yep.
I mean, you're a young head coach, and
Yeah, I feel it's crazy. Like
that's
it's
a
almost
shift
like
in
a dream.
mentality, man.
Yeah.
I mean, because like for years, like when I was coming up playing sports, it was about to be specialized, where you're like, you play volleyball all year, you play softball, baseball, football, whatever it is, all year. You train all year. But like when I was a little kid, like the football players, like the joke was, because like I like the Bears, or if you like the Blackhawks, which I do, and you didn't like the North Stars, that they bag groceries in the off season. It's like what the North Stars would do.
Yeah.
We're selling insurance or something because they sucked. But they didn't train all year, and then it shifted to training 24/7, 365. And I've seen so many kids quit. So to have a young coach kind of go a little bit old school and go, you don't have to play hockey all year round. Like, put some weight on, go work out, go learn how to water ski, go,
If I just find other passions,
Do
is
something
my
else.
Big thing. I mean, if your passion is literally hockey 24/7, and we have a couple kids that are like that, you can see it every day when they show up, whether it's off ice or on ice stuff, that they want to be there, they're excited, they're ready to go. And so, for a few kids, that is a passion to be 12 months a year, play.
Yeah.
But I'm just, to me, life's about, like I said, hockey's going to end for most of these kids at 18 years old. Why in the world do we want to specialize a kid into one thing at 18 when that's not how they're going to provide for their family, how to make a difference in their community someday, et cetera?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Or they have an opportunity, if they're more well-rounded, they could go play intramurals somewhere and play on the co-ed softball team.
And maybe meet their wife.
That's exactly right.
Right.
Yep. That's
I mean,
exactly
seriously,
right.
just stuff like that
100%.
where that to me is way more important than what we do on the ice. And so I'm all about kids getting an opportunity to just try different things. And,
Yep.
I think it's cool now how many opportunities there are for young kids to try all this stuff.
Yeah.
And like youth soccer's become the most popular youth sport in town all of a sudden. It's fairly easy to get into in terms of a cost barrier, and you need a pair of cleats, some shin pads, and you run around. It's really good for your long-term health, and it gets you the idea of moving around. And then it could be spring, summer, fall if you want it to be, and you just get to meet different people and learn different things.
Yep.
So to me, that's cool.
When you were playing, so the question I have is, when you were playing, did you have an opportunity to go to further?
Oh, yeah.
Did
Yeah.
you?
So like
did you
D1 juniors.
Yes. And then my second question is, like, when did you know you wanted to coach? So how did that process work for you?
So opportunity-wise, I was invited to a whole bunch of different camps. Some of them you literally pay to get into. And so I try and make sure our kids are educated now that there is a line there of there's a lot of teams that will just fundraise with a camp.
Yep.
They've kind of got an idea of who they're going to bring to their actual camp in the fall.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I did a couple of those, couple of invite type stuff. Really ran with it as much as I could.
Okay.
Didn't end up working out for me in the long run, which I see as a blessing now, looking back on it. I was super passionate about it, but I was a 5'9", 5'10", 190-pound kid that worked really hard, wasn't the most talented, and there's 300 to 500 Nate Olsens out there. There just was.
Yep.
And so that was just kind of how that shook out, which is the story for a lot of kids.
Which isn't a bad story.
Correct. No,
But it's just crazy to think, like, if you get to be a Sidney Crosby, or you are literally the top 1%
of the 1%.
of the
Yeah.
1%
You're the 1/100th of 1%. Yeah.
in the world.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like, because it's one of the biggest international sports. So you are like the top of the top of the top of the top. So there's like 99.99 like dudes, women too, that are just not gonna make it to that upper echelon, but are fantastic athletes.
Yeah, for sure. And so that was kind of my story, how that went. And I decided, I was actually set to go to the University of Wisconsin. A couple of my good friends were going to school there. One of them at the time, two more that I became to know really, really well. So that was, 10 years ago now, but it seems like they've just been my best friends forever. But I came here, got into school, reached out to the Youth Hockey Association, said, hey, you guys need any help with anything? I'd love to just, give back a little bit. Didn't really think about what that was going to bring me today. I just wanted to be involved, make a little extra cash in college, and have fun doing it. So we were always encouraged by Ken Essay as well as Curtis Dole, the two head coaches that I played for, to be involved with the youth while we were playing. So in high school, we would get out there with the mites and spend an hour or two out there just basically having fun with them.
And you're a celebrity to them at that
point.
point.
I mean, you're like Sidney Crosby out there with them. I mean, they have no clue that
mites one, mites two. They're like,
like little kid. I'm a fourth liner, like on JV. You don't know,
Yeah, and they have no clue. They're just like wide eyed.
Yeah, you're a celebrity to those little kids.
But now that
not
I've
that
got
you're
a
a fourth
little
liner on JV, but you know what I mean,
right? But now that I've got a little perspective on it, like that's where you start seeing those kids find their passion. Be like, I want to be a Scarlet or a Cougar someday.
Yeah,
and that's really freaking cool. And so looking back, it was probably my junior year of high school where I found my passion to coach, but I didn't realize it until, October of 2011 where I got in. I was the Squirt B head coach. I coached with two dads, Mark Prohaska and Todd Konzemek, who were awesome. Taught me a lot about the structure of youth hockey and what that looked like in terms of like a parent side, but also they were good coaches. And really, I'm a big culture guy. I know the X's and O's in hockey. I was always a very smart hockey player, and I prided myself on that, but I was also a huge nerd in hockey. Like, I was 4 years old, and I'm reading, division standings of NHL games and scores. I'm not watching cartoons.
Right.
Like, that's, where I was learning math was in the newspaper.
Yeah, but at the time that you were doing that, the cartoons, in your defense, were not very good.
Yeah. And honestly, I would have no, I went from like Barney to sports, and I don't know what. My brother was a huge cartoon nut, and I got nothing.
Yeah.
I mean,
but you can even ask him, hair and all, the cartoons back then were awful.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah.
Just horse poop.
So you found your passion your junior year. Didn't really know all about that, but then you get into the Mankato area hockey association.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're starting, and I've done a little bit of that as well.
Maha.
It's really cool to watch these kids, like, you tell them something and then they go back out there, and then their next shift they change whatever they did and they do something new, and they come back and they're like excited because they're like, look,
see?
it worked.
Yeah, they're fired up.
I did it.
Yeah.
You did.
And I will say,
it's so
like,
fun.
at that age, so squirts, you got 8 to 10-year-olds.
Yep.
And I did 2 years of that before I joined the high school. And I remember we got tryouts taken care of. We had our first week of practice. We had our first practice. And Mark, Todd, and I sat in a room, and I just looked at him. I said, wow, do we have a lot of work to do. And they go, just, be patient. You'll see the difference. And I sort of got every practice, but really, like, week to week, those kids got so much better just by being out there and around each other.
For sure.
And that, you still see that now at the high school level, but it's at a far less, step or jump.
Yep.
They're getting better every day, but you could noticeably see, wow, Matt's skating that much better this week.
Yep.
Matt just shot a puck that he couldn't get off the ice, last week.
Yep.
Now he's hitting the post halfway up. Like, just like little things that these kids are growing and they're learning and they're having fun doing it. And so to me, that was where I was like, okay, the hockey's not really the winning, we're not worried about winning. We're worried about making kids better and giving them an opportunity and a culture that they can thrive and having fun and really ingraining the love of the game for them, but also making sure that they're working hard doing it. Because I literally told each kid, I said, and I've always been a huge believer in effort, attitude, perseverance, 3 things you can always control. And at the end of the year, I gave each kid, a picture of them with their name and number.
Their EAP.
Yep. Effort, attitude, perseverance. We had talked about it all year. It was always warped into their brains because I wanted them to know you control all that stuff.
Yep.
And really, perseverance, how you react to that adversity, that's going to carry you so far in life.
Correct.
These kids are 8, 9, 10. They have no clue how impactful that's going to be at the time. But
It
I said,
matters
hey,
a
put
lot,
this,
though.
Yeah,
Matters a
yeah.
ton. Like,
So
to hear
put
that
this on
at
your
that
bedroom
age.
door.
Yeah, correct.
See it every day.
Yep.
And then when I had, so the group that just graduated was a heavy group on West End East of that Squirt B group that I had. And numerous kids told me how they remember that sign and that they did that. And to me, that's why I coach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We built a relationship. heck, the East guys, they beat us up pretty good the last couple of years, but
They've had a good squad.
yeah, but it's been fun to watch those kids grow and become better people. And now you see them working at the golf club or in the community, and they're great young men.
Yep.
And to me, that's a fun thing to see they developed the right way throughout the whole process.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, and hockey can teach like the best top elation, and it can teach I want to just break my stick and never put my skates back on again, and everything in between. And I didn't experience it nearly as much as you did. I literally put skates on. Played my first ever hockey game intramurals when I was a 19-year-old at UMD. But even that, it was. We lost every single game our first year, and by the time we were seniors, we won the B League, not the A League, but we won the B League. And that was like, I remember, Sprague.
Oh, yeah.
Sprague and I are sitting in the locker room, and I'm like, dude, I don't want to take my gear off. This is the epitome. I'm at the pinnacle of my hockey career.
but you're a great example too of
It's all
like,
downhill from here.
Yeah, it's all go downhill.
you were like that 8-year-old or that 6-year-old
Yeah.
that just fell in love and you had fun and you worked hard at it. You got a little better. And
Actually, just like you say, every time I was on the ice, I noticed how much better I could get.
Yeah.
And it's like that was so much fun because you just learn, And I'd come to the bench, and most of the people we played with, they played, way more hockey than I did. And I'm like, okay, guys, what did I do wrong there? And they're like, well, where do you want to start? Like, I mean, I don't even our shifts. We
grab the CVS receipt.
Right.
We're on the ice in like a minute and a half. Like, there's not enough time, But they would tell me, they're like Kyle DeGoy, I played with him, and he's like, okay, don't do any of that. Like, what you just did out there is not the right thing. I'm like, well, okay, what do I do? He's like, that's your area. I'm like, oh, okay. And I figured it out that way.
Yeah.
By those guys telling me that. So anyway, but yeah, the point is.
It's a pretty OCD sport, actually.
Oh, dude, it's so fun. The craziest part growing up playing football, and then football's like, okay, and go. Oh, and then stop.
Yeah.
And go. Oh, okay, play's over. Where hockey's like, when do I come on the ice? When do I get off the ice? Like, I didn't know what to do because it was
It's like Mighty
constant.
Ducks when the gal takes over as the coach. Change.
Yeah.
Now you got to say it louder. Change.
Yeah,
Right?
I'm like, what?
Yeah.
What's happening here? When do I get off the ice? It's like, well, you kind of feel it. I'm like, huh? Anyway,
I played hockey maybe half a dozen times in my entire life. Ever.
really?
Yeah, ever. Like skates, pads, maybe half a dozen times.
Like organized on the pond at a Spring Lake type of place, or tell
Probably
us.
half on the pond and then half in a rink,
Yeah.
And I was surprised how tired I was.
Dude, it is
I was just like drenched, gassed.
unbelievable. The greatest workout you can get is playing hockey.
You use a lot of weird muscles.
It's
that
the
you don't
stuff
think
that was it right there. And like the next day, I was like, I can't walk. This feels awful. But it's a weird sport. I have an appreciation for the sport, and I watch hockey and grew up watching hockey and all that stuff. But to be in the state of hockey, and then to see how like deep the culture is, it's a weird sport.
Yeah,
I mean, you got the crooked stick, so it's kind of like soccer mixed with golf, and there's some other like elements of football and rugby mixed into it. It's a really tough sport, my opinion. Looking on the outside in, there's not like a bunch of kids like with a wicked jump shot, like going to the league. Slap shots, it's a different deal.
Well, as an athlete, right? Like you could be a really good football player, basketball player, and those maybe translate.
Doesn't translate.
Hockey players, we were, some buddies and I, we had this discussion a few months ago, and it was like, could a hockey player be good at like anything other than golf? Really?
No, I don't. I don't know.
Really, like
The best hockey players drive the ball
Just
like
crush
a
it.
freaking
Yeah.
mile. They're on the green, and I'm on my third shot.
yeah, but I mean, just it's such a unique sport in that way, and I think that's maybe circles back to that earlier point of why it's good to try other sports.
yeah.
Because to try and get well around it, because it's really hard when you're a hockey player. Because skating's not like running.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just different.
I could throw a baseball as a kid really hard. Like that was I could do that. That was just a natural talent. Yeah. I couldn't shoot the puck worth anything. It would just be like blue, 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 blue. That's a whole just the motion of loading up that stick and understanding and the feel of how that is. That took. Dude, that took a long time to just understand playing men's league, which is not nearly competitive, but it's a lot of fun. But
No, it's just the thing where, like, I think you can go, and this is not a knock on the sports that I like, but I think you can spend a summer, like, my son's 12, he's like 5'11", big kid. He's going to get bigger. He could spend a summer and play basketball and get up to this like the point where he would be a good player. You can't play hockey for a summer.
Yeah.
And then end up being a pretty
No, I
good
would
player.
argue he could, hop on the skates, work at it, play a few seasons, and by high school he'd have a chance.
Right.
We've seen some of that.
Yeah, he could be like 7th, 8th, 9th grade. He does something, but
It would take that 2 to 4 year period to really
just dig in. Football, basketball, baseball is somewhat like that, but hockey has this unique thing. It's kind of like, for me, it's like wrestling. If you start skating when you're 2, or you're on the mat at 2, you grow up in wrestling, in hockey. It's kind of like that for me.
Wrestling and hockey are similar.
They're similar.
Fashion. Yeah.
Because it's
you gotta have a little crazy to do it.
high,
In there. Wrestling, insane crazy. Like those guys,
deeply
so much
high
respect
skill
for
set.
wrestlers. Holy
you know?
smoke!
Yep. That is there's a really fine line between good and great in hockey.
Yeah.
But there's an extremely fine line in wrestling.
Yep.
Like it's so incredibly fine.
You wrestled for a little bit, and I wrestled too, and it's like you can tell, like I'm not going to be good at this.
Well, it was
I can
crazy.
get by.
The technique part. Like I either pinned somebody or I got pinned.
Right, or I
like,
lost.
I didn't. Yeah, I mean, I didn't like. There wasn't a decision. It wasn't.
Right.
Like I lost 3-2 or something.
Right.
It was like I either screwed it up big time and their technique just took over,
Yep.
or I was just stronger than them.
Right. And
But
you could overpower.
If they had technique, I mean, I wrestled 171. They could wrestle whatever it was, 145, and I could get beat by them
Yep.
real easy if they had amazing technique because they know where to be and what to do. But anyway, let's go back to hockey and Nate
It's
now.
no, but
We're not even talking.
no, but it's the same with
Conversation
hockey.
between Wade and I.
But it's the same with hockey because you look at these players, like I like Patrick Kane. If you've ever meet him in like real life, he's not a big person.
Yeah, unless you really know hockey, you're probably not picking a ton of hockey players out of the crowd.
You have no
where
idea.
The left tackle for the Vikings is in Mankato for training camp, and you're like, oh, yeah, that guy plays for the Vikings.
That guy's 6'5", 300 pounds.
Right.
Yes.
You see this little dude who he's not a big man.
Kane's probably what, 165,
He's probably got to
5'10"?
play more like 175.
He's gotta play
180,
175.
Yeah, okay.
And
But
there's
he's 5'10".
the
Yeah, tops.
way you train now, like, is crazy how smart the people actually training the athletes are
Yeah.
to add the right weight, to be specific on optimal playing weight, and this like the deeper you get into it, it's just crazy how it's changing. It's so much less about weights and more
Yep.
about your body
Yep.
and getting higher vertical and just things you
Mobility,
wouldn't think
flexibility.
about.
Yeah.
That matter so much in terms of the power of a stride or
Yeah.
what that looks like, where years and years before it was like, how do you get your legs to be super, super strong? You maybe do some ladders or something to help with your quickness, and then
Yep.
here we go. Where
Yep.
now it's like, I mean, each body is looked at differently.
Yep.
All three of us could train with for a year with an NHL specific coach in terms of an off ice coach, and we'd all have different plans. We'd all have different health plans, meal plans, etc. You know what I mean? Like, it's crazy how dialed in that stuff is now.
Yeah. Well, there was I think it was what's it called now? It's like the Wild put out episodes of like kind of behind the scenes. Of
Oh yeah, yeah.
Becoming
Wild.
Yeah,
Thank you.
yeah, Becoming
and
Wild.
they had one on Matt Dumba, and
Yeah.
it was interesting to go through and like
Yep.
he would just talk about like I eat this, like he would just have packages, and he's like I eat that this time, I eat that this time, I drink 2 of those, and then I have one of those, and that's my day.
And his workout plan was different because he was training with another. I'm not sure if he was. I think it might have been the trainer, but he was training with another player, and they were doing different activities.
Yes.
Very common at the NHL level, like, and even college, really.
And so it was like, God, it might have been. I forget who it was, but they were from the same league prior to. Wild guy was there, and the other guy was there, and they
Yep.
were training and doing different things.
Yep.
But training together to like be there.
Yep.
Somewhere
Just
in the middle of
accountability
freaking
type
nowhere,
thing.
great cabin on a lake.
Yeah.
They call them cottages up in Canada.
Yeah. It's
But I
and
think
in Michigan.
But I think that was the episode.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. That's exactly right. That was a great episode.
It was. I was like, damn, I need to do that. I'm gonna get fat.
Did I ever tell you when I ran into is it Michael Russo?
Yeah, the well-known beat reporter.
Yeah.
Does a great job. Dude is, I don't know if he ever sleeps, but yeah.
He does. So did I ever tell you I ran into him in Pittsburgh? I shared a cab with him. Did I ever tell you this story? Oh my gosh, this is so funny. So I'm in Pittsburgh for a business meeting, and the Wild just happened to play the Penguins that night. So I'm like, I fly in, I have like 3 business meetings, and then that's done at 5, and I'm going right to PPG Paints Arena, which, it's funny that they named it that because it doesn't sound the best. But anyway,
It doesn't.
PPG Paints Arena, but I'm going right to it, and I'm going to watch the Wild and the Penguins play. And so I'm at the airport, and I'm standing waiting for a cab to come up, and all of a sudden, Michael Russo walks up right next to me. He's like on his phone, whatever. And all of a sudden, I'm like, "Excuse, I apologize to bother. Are you Mr. Russo?" And he's like, "Yeah, I am." I'm like, "Hey, my name's Matt. Like, big fan. You do a great job and all that." And he's like, "Oh, cool. You going to the game?" I'm like, "Yeah, I got a couple of business meetings."
Which is a very Matt thing to do.
Yeah,
It's like, just doesn't care.
I just talk to people.
Hey,
how's it going?
That's my style.
Yeah, I
I'm
just
Matt.
talk to
Good to
him.
meet you. Where you from?
Like, "Hey, big fan."
Well,
So then he goes, "Well, where are you staying?" And I can't remember where it was, but I'm like, "I'm staying here." He's like, I'm next door. You want to share a cab?" I'm like, yeah,
absolutely.
So then we hit traffic. What was supposed to be like a 12-minute ride now it turns into 45. And so we're
You're
just
in
talking.
heaven.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, "Dude, can I just ask you questions?" And he's like, "Yeah. Are you recording me?" I'm like, "No." And they're like, "Okay." I'm like, "Can I just ask you whatever I want?" He's like, "Sure." So we're talking about, this is back when like Charlie Coyle was playing. I'm like, "Dude, why can't Charlie Coyle figure his life out? Like, he left BU, he's coming over here, he's supposed to be good. Why is it not happening?" And we're talking about Matt Dumba. I'm like, I go, "So who I just remember like asking questions like, okay, who's the one that like, gets along with everyone and whatever?" And he's like,
by the way, any responses that he gives, this is all just for fun, and he doesn't recall any of them. Nor will he share any of these responses, Mr. Russo.
Yeah. No, it was just funny. He's like, I'm like, "So who was the guy that likes to go out?" And he's like, "Matt Dumba." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So I always think of Matt Dumba like, okay, well, he, probably likes to.
He was probably 19 at the time too.
Yeah,
though.
yeah, that's exactly right. This was 10 years
That was his
ago.
college.
Yeah,
Because
this is
every
10 years ago.
19-year-old likes to do that.
Yeah. But so anyway, he didn't say anything negatively about Matt Dumba, but it's just like, who's the most, responsible and that, takes everything super serious. And, who's I just kept asking questions. We talked about
That's
Charlie
hilarious.
Coyle for a long time. And then he went over to the Bruins and started scoring goals. So I don't know how that happened, but anyway.
He was a great two-way player, and then he just couldn't score in Minnesota.
I don't understand. So, okay, now let's go back to, let's talk about D1 hockey.
Yep.
Okay. Do you ever, let's forward, say, 5, 10, 15 years. Let's say your
From
Scarlet
right now?
career. Yeah, let's see it from now. So let's say your Scarlet career goes well as a head coach. Would you ever have any aspirations to want to be a junior head coach or a D1 head coach or something like that? Or you think that this is kind of gonna be your jam?
It's tough to ansser that.
That's
right
a hard
now.
question. Jeez.
Yeah, I'm hard hitting. You said it earlier.
Jeez.
I feel.
What are you going to
fortunate-
do with your life?
Yeah. Well, I wish I could tell you. But no, I think, does the sound of being able to do a good job and hopefully instill a culture that does things the right way and really, establishes a ton of good young men into the community, which leads to success on the ice, which then all of a sudden would lead to that opportunity. It sounds awesome.
Yep.
Now, do I want to be Todd Knott or Darren Blue, who are great men that have to be on the road a ton and have
that's the problem.
support staff at home, but recruiting and they're missing games sometimes from MSU in the regular season to be recruiting. They're on the airplane or on the road constantly.
Yep.
Now, that would be a downfall, but I love people. I love relationship building. I love leadership development. And so the thought of recruiting and getting to connect with kids and their families and hopefully, be able to sell something that's, very genuine and that I believe in, that sounds really cool too. So we'll see where life takes me on that aspect, but I have a huge amount of respect for, college and junior coaches because they're on the road a ton. Not all of them make, the top dollar that you might see in some of the, big time schools, whatever.
Yep.
And they're clearly passionate about it. They clearly care about the relationships they're building with the people that are not only in the sport, but the kids. So there's a lot to that.
But it's possible.
Yeah, just have to depend where life was, frankly. But I mean, it's also become not only just coaching, but even officiating. If you're not a former player, it's that much harder.
Yeah.
So it'd be really cool to be a barrier breaker and be
Which is a really cool path to take too. If you can rise up through the ranks and there's all the courses and certifications to be, really have your stripes.
Yeah.
That's a pretty good living. You travel a lot.
Yeah, oh yeah.
But if you get bigger games,
Being an official, you're saying?
being an official is also a path and they get paid. I mean, it's a 6-figure job.
Oh yeah. Well, a good friend of mine, a kid from Mankato, played at Mankato. I say Andrew Brueggemann. He's coached, a lot of the junior hockey. He's been officiating, officiates the AHL now, which is the second highest pro league in America.
I know his
He's
parents.
got to do World Junior Championships, so he's got the, he did the one in Vancouver that Mike Hastings coached.
Wow.
And so he's watching, Canada, USA, and
Like some of the best there is.
35 draft picks on the ice. You know what I mean? The best under 20 players in the entire world. He's getting to skate with them, officiate those games. I mean, talk about that as an experience. And he's put a ton of hard work into it, too. A lot of long trips, a lot of long hours, travel.
Yep. I bumped into his mom and his dad at the club, and she would give me updates.
Yeah.
And I think that he was just trying to find something to connect with because he missed the game.
For sure. And he's a competitor. And now he's competing against himself to get up there.
Right. And these other officials. And so there's just, like I said, it's this whole weird thing, like at every stupid level of hockey, no offense. Like you're constantly having to I'm going to be 40 this year, but I'm not going to be in the D League, forever.
Yeah, well, yeah.
It's just like testing the metal all the time. But I think he might have, his brother might be doing that too. But
last I had heard, his brother coached some in the youth here. Did an awesome job. He's actually helping Wednesdays.
Okay.
He's in town working, so he's helping us Wednesday mornings on the ice, which he has a great, career that he had playing junior hockey and then Division III. And so he not only is, he was a goalie, so not only is he specific on goalie training and what that looks like, but he's very culture oriented and knows what it takes to compete at a high level consistently and to continuously get better. So he's a great, hockey mind.
he's got the two brothers, this dude, coach, and his, I think his brother will make the league. I would not be surprised because he's a pretty young guy too.
Yeah, and he's the one that's running into a little bit of barrier of there's all the former players are becoming officials now. Mm. So he's close. I mean, he's as close as you can be without being a former player.
Exactly.
And so I really hope he gets it because he's putting a ton of time and effort into it, and he's this close.
Wow.
And, we've talked about, I know it's trying. It's very, him having a positive outlook and trying to stay confident he can break through that barrier of former players has not been easy on him.
Mm. So what's funny is I've never met these two dudes, maybe once or twice, but I would see their parents.
Yep.
And she would give me, updates, and we'd talk, and she, very, very proud of her kids, and we'd, have fun and talk about it. So I'm like hearing their story through their parents, and I don't even know these guys.
Yeah.
But just they're explaining this as a thing, and I'm like, of course I'm fascinated. I'm like, so how the hell do you do this?
Yeah, right.
So this is how it works. And I'm like, wow, holy moly. And so he's over here right now, and he's going to be doing this Junior Olympics, something, whatever. I'm like, holy moly, that's legit. Well, it's a lot of pressure. I was like, because you don't want to screw it up, right?
Yeah, they're getting graded at every game they're doing.
Every game. Yeah, there's this huge critique that they have to, and they're not even playing hockey.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
You know what's the craziest thing about hockey that I've found at the NHL level? So you go to a Wild game as an example, and if there's my two favorite seats in the whole place are way up at the top because you get to see everything happen, and you're not necessarily watching the puck. You're just watching how the puck transitions. You don't you can just tell where the puck is. You don't even need to see it because you can see how everybody's reacting. But I think it's so interesting on how you see. It's like this molding, constantly moving shape of bodies that are just, you can see the system itself as a whole, and it doesn't look nearly as fast as it is. I got invited, won some tickets one time, and I took Lisa to a Wild game, and we were next to the penalty box, front row, Audi Club, Quattro Club, whatever it's called, and you're ice level. Mm-hmm. And the pace of that game is insane. Mm-hmm. I mean, it is unbelievable when you're ice level to see how fast and how, the puck touches their stick for a tenth of a second and it's already gone. I'm in men's league and I okay, it goes that way. And then I ice
go away, stop.
Well, you're not getting paid to play in men's league either.
No. But that's the other thing about hockey that I think is so interesting is even though you talk about, I made it to, juniors, but I couldn't make it to D1. It's those kids are still amazing hockey players.
Oh, yeah.
Amazing hockey players. You make it to D1, you're like, that's a whole nother ball game, right? And those guys, most of those guys don't make it to the AHL. Most of those guys might play a little bit in the ECHL or something like that.
IHL.
They're still amazing hockey players.
Ton of opportunity in Europe, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, there's a number of guys. I follow the Bulldogs. Obviously, there's a number of guys that are playing out over in. Jack Connie was a great one. I think he's playing for. I think he's in Sweden playing right now. But
sometimes there's like games on late if you can't sleep. You're watching like the Russian Super League.
Yeah.
And you're like, this league is crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
These players are so freaking good.
Yeah.
Like half these dudes could come over here and play tomorrow. There's just not a spot for them. Mm-hmm. And there's like 10 other leagues around Europe. And you think, how big could the actual league be? Mm-hmm. Could you get to 40 teams or 50 teams? Like, is there a big enough base? If we could bridge a gap between the two continents, you would see some of the best sporting competition possible. Because a lot of these guys play the season here and then they leave, and they'll play a portion of a season someplace else.
If they're not during the lockout, for sure, they would just go out and play. If
they're not one of those top billing guys that needs the break, and like they need, they're maybe a little bit further down the roster, they're superstars over there. Mm-hmm. They just crush it, and get paid pretty well to do it.
Well, and they got the Winter Olympics coming up next February, and I'm just praying that the NHL guys are allowed to play, because you talk about uber competition.
Yeah.
To me, that's the greatest competition or greatest hockey you can watch, because then you get the top 20 from Canada, from the U.S., from Russia, Finland, Sweden.
Yeah.
I mean, and then they're competing not at like an all-star game type of mentality.
Yes.
They actually want to win, like they're winning a goal.
And they're playing against some of their teammates.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's insane. You talk about fast. Holy smokes. That is just beautiful hockey.
That shows you what the NHL could possibly be.
Yeah.
Or if it was like the International Hockey League for real, about like the quality of play. Like some of these players don't want to come play here. Mm-hmm. It's just not their thing.
Well, Kaprizov for the Wild.
Great example.
He could have been playing with the Wild the last 3 years. Now, there was a lot of extra things as to reasons why. Michael Russo is one of the few people that probably know more about it than we would. But, he was a top-tier scorer, whatever. Comes out here, he's going to win Rookie of the Year tonight, more than likely. And he was on the shelf in Russia for,
he just
4 years.
Bad timing geopolitically.
Yeah, for sure.
Is just if it was 10 years earlier, he would have been here much earlier.
Agreed.
He just bad timing.
Yeah. But there's guys like that. I mean, probably at least 10 guys that have a similar type skill set or will in the next 2 years that'll all play in Russia before they play here.
Yeah.
And if you get them all here right away, or I mean, it's, and some guys literally just need to be in Russia or want to be in Russia.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
here's the next question that I have. So one of your and my very alike passions is Division I hockey, men's hockey, and we are serious nerds at it.
Oh, yeah.
Really big nerds. So, like, a couple things. One is 10 or 15 years ago, there was a different mentality of Division I college hockey and how you make it to the NHL versus when you're playing major juniors in Canada. Right, it was a much more like, I got to go play all the time, major juniors, and that's my
instead
route.
of 40 games, 82.
Yep,
that's exactly right. And so what I think is so interesting now is you have so many people. I think it's 30% of the entire NHL.
Yeah, it's anywhere from like 30 to 35, give or take, on the year right now.
Give or take are Division I college athletes, and I think that's so cool. And you and I are such nerds. Like, I could watch a game between, Boston and Philadelphia, and I can pick out 5 guys that I know. I'm like, well, he played at BU, and he played at Colgate, and like, just.
Well, I mean, it's not like there's a huge. I mean, like, there's basically, call it 2 or 3 dozen hockey schools.
60 Division I right now, I think.
Yeah.
Oh, that send players. I mean, like that send a lot of players.
But 5 years ago, if I would have told you that UMass was going to win the national title, but B would have had the number 1 overall
Cale
pick
McCarr.
You would have been like, UMass? No.
You're an idiot.
And now,
but it changes all the time, right? Like, it could be Maine, which it was 10 years ago, or CC, or if it was
those 2 programs that are non-competitive.
Yeah,
right now.
CC's not competitive anymore, and neither is Maine, but they were.
They were huge. So
they were huge.
So that's my point.
Yeah.
So there's like a rotating list of schools that send shit ton of players to the league. Mm-hmm. It's kind of the same 20 with a few rotating in and out, maybe 24. It's a viable option now. Social media, news coverage, and this sport getting bigger coverage on like things like the Big Ten Network. Or
Don't make me fight, like, bringing those words out.
I'm serious.
That old WCHA, though, I'm a huge...
Dude.
Okay.
But
No, you're right.
WCHA,
Can you watch the WCHA now on TV, streaming anywhere?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Flow Sports. I mean...
Yeah. You can.
That's why, dude.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, juniors?
Yeah, you never used to be able to watch a Mavs game on the road.
No way.
I remember the one place you could watch was Alaska Anchorage, and they had a free student. I mean, it was horrible, but you're staying up till 10:07 p.m. and
Right,
you're
yeah.
putting on our radio guys because Mike Sullivan and Paul Allen are awesome.
Yeah.
And you're watching on your little computer screen because you weren't streaming it to a TV, and it is the crappiest, but it was free TV feed. And you couldn't see a feed anywhere else.
But you could take it in. So now
right.
it's changed, and there's less chance of injury. And I think the quality of life for the players is so much better.
Yeah.
Well, they get that stipend now to pay for their food and whatever that they technically couldn't get before. Now, I mean, Snell, for example, might be able to take the captain of the Mavericks and do commercials and give him $1,000 for it with this new NIL stuff. I mean,
Or you can be on the road with a bunch of dudes playing juniors who are pissed off trying to bust you up. Or you can go to a D1 college town and enjoy everything that has to offer.
yeah, now it's a viable option. Plus, you get to be in college. I mean, and trust me, you know very well too. The college guys they have it pretty dang good at campus.
Pretty nice.
And it's not bad to be a D1 hocky player.
So that's why I think it's over a third of the league, dude.
I mean, you could be at Bemidji. You could be at. I mean, it doesn't matter. You could. D1 college hockey players.
It's pretty nice.
It is a good thing.
And it's over a third of the league.
I have people. So I told you this story, and so when I first came down to play men's league, I was at a party one time, and I got these. I got to tell this, 'cause I've never told this on. So
I know this story.
I come down, and I was at a party one time. I have like Rob Bortson's breezers, and like I have all the Bulldog gear, like head to toe. I looked like I played D1, and I am.
And what league were you joining?
I'm playing men's league, so this is C League. Okay, so this is not A League, this is not B League, it's C League, and there's a reason it's not A League or B League. So I first I take my gear out. I've never played with any of these guys. They don't know who I am because I didn't grow up playing here. All this stuff, and I put on all this Bulldog gear, and these guys are like, "Dude, look at this guy! Dude, he's our ringer.
Look at this guy.
I played D1." So this guy asked me, he's like, "Did you play for Duluth?" And I go, "I played in Duluth." No, I said in, not for. So this guy's just like,
You were setting yourself up for quite the.
oh my gosh, I know, and I knew right away when it was happening, and so all of a sudden, like we're walking out. I got all the gear on, and I skate on the ice, and they're like, "Oh, it's a joke. It's not his stuff."
He took one stride, and we knew.
Hey, but I did score a goal my very first shift as I was falling down, and put it top cheese on the left side right over the blocker.
That's hilarious to me.
And then you did the Kyle Schmidt celly all the way down the ice.
Yeah, doing the whole. No, that was one of the funniest things ever. But so my point is with the D1 versus major juniors, like I think what's so cool about that is like you talk about culture. Like I think major juniors is different, and I don't know a lot about major juniors, but I think the D1 stuff, and I look at like Scott Sandel, and I look at a lot of the amazing Division One, Mike Hastings Division One.
You got to shout Mike. I mean,
you got to put Mike Hastings.
Seen it.
Yes, like you talk about culture. You talk about developing people. I mean, those guys are amazing at doing that, and they have the time to be able to do it instead of you're playing every other night or back to back, and then you're off for 2 nights, and then you're going back to back again. Like they actually have some time to develop these players, and I think it's such an amazing atmosphere, especially like now being of the student side, and you got to see all the weird things we did on. I remember. My mom would ask your dad at Christ the King on Sunday morning if there was a mat sighting to make sure that everything was okay because they had like the camera would go in the student section.
Mike and I used to go to every Final Five, WCHA Final Five. We went to the last one at Target Center all the way through the last one at Excel Energy Center. So it was about a 20-year run. And Duluth was there a couple times when Matt was in college.
Playing against Denver.
And so there's Matt, like the beer snake was dang near right there with him, but just standing up and loud and that. Did you have your long hair then too?
Oh yeah,
yeah. So
super
he's got
long.
this long hair. I mean, you couldn't miss this guy. And there's people that just probably called him that guy that's nuts. You know, that went to the Duluth games.
Oh yeah,
the guy in the penalty box over there. But I mean, and that was the start of it all. And then it was like, all right, for 4 years we get to go to the Final Five and almost hope Duluth made it now because we got to see what Matt's gonna do.
I'm not surprised at all.
A bunch of us. It was the student section time at UMD was by far. I mean, like to that time and like looking back nostalgically, it was the greatest time of my life because you'd have 300 kids that were all there for the same reason.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean, aside from being a father,
not
being a husband, but I mean,
I said to that time. I said to that time.
Up until that point in time, was one of.
And I said nostalgically.
So. Oh, nostalgically. I'm not even sure that's a word strategically.
No, sorry, Lisa's not going to listen, but
nobody cares. But
You just got lawyered.
Yeah,
let's be honest. Let's be honest here. It was the greatest time ever. Come on, let's just be honest. It was amazing.
Like when something happens that you can't repeat ever.
Of course, it's great.
Like, it's always going to be the best because
it is the best.
You can't repeat it. You can't bring back Ryan McDonough. You can't bring back Tom and Dave and Paul and like all those dudes that are all there at the same time. It's Sprague.
That's wonderful.
And doing all that. But yeah, anyway, so the coolest part I think about DB1 too is like you have a student section, right? You have a lot of that where you go to a NHL hockey game. It's like, yeah, they cheer a little, but nothing's coordinated, nothing, but you have these students that all come in and they're all there and they're all like just dumb and fun, and it was great. But
it's special. It's not going to change either because I think you have all these examples now the last decade where it doesn't matter if you went to go play, someplace. You went to like you try it out, and now why is half our team 24 and they're playing for like, UAB or like Denver? You're like, why are these guys so old? Well, they all went and played juniors. Mm-hmm. What the hell is that? That's going to go by the wayside somewhat. And I think the quality will continue to rise in D1 hockey because the experience is undeniable. Mm-hmm. You can't, it's an easy sell too. It's like, you want to be on a bus?
Live on a bus.
For like a sleeper bus, yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Or do you want to come here? I don't know. You pick. Like, it's pretty easy. And, like, we have just as much exposure. This dude, Backus, you ever hear of him?
Yeah.
He did that. And there's a couple other programs in the state that are pretty well covered, too. Mm-hmm. So we usually play them a couple times a year. Mm-hmm.
Well, Minneapolis being so close to here, for example, is a huge deal because the high school hockey talent is incredible.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you have college and pro scouts all around the area. You got the 5D1 schools, now to be 6 with St. Thomas.
Yep.
And
that's crazy to me, by the way.
I mean, Boston University came here to play MSU, which would have been, to me, an unfathomable thought 10 years ago.
Yeah.
A couple years ago, because they could fly right to MSP. It was an hour, 10-minute bus right here. It was quick. It was easy. Boom, boom.
Yep.
And it's accessible. And now you can get those scouts. So there's, games where you've seen 20 NHL scouts in the building, and it's very easy for them to get here. Half of them probably drove from Minneapolis.
Yes.
Correct. I mean, that's a huge deal. And to the point of growth of the game, I mean, you look at Gretzky going to LA back in the day was a huge, huge thing for hockey in North America.
Yep.
Now you've got Tampa Bay on the cusp of winning their second straight title. Mm-hmm. They've hosted the Frozen Four before, which has been one of the most well-received Frozen Fours because the town's bought in on it. They market it. They're a hockey town now. Mm-hmm. Vegas is becoming a huge hockey hotbed,
and they're playing very well.
Have you been to Vegas to watch a game?
I've been to 2 games. Now, to me, it's insane.
It's the best place I've ever been to watch a hockey game.
With rock concert mixed.
Yes.
And a show on the start with the night guy.
Dude, it is. I went to a game. I went to a conference out there, and everyone, all these people are asking me, they're like, hey, what show are you going to go to tonight? I'm like, dude, I'm going to the hockey game. Like, oh, who are you going with? I'm like, no one. They're like,
I've been to a game by myself.
They're like, I'll be there tonight.
Why don't you go with people? I'm like, because you don't know hockey, and you're going to want to talk to me. And I don't want to talk to anyone. I want to watch the hockey.
It's very USC Trojan.
I go grab a big Coors Light, and I sit there, and I was blown away at how amazing not only the hockey was, watching their team, watching everything that they had with regard to the spectacle, the night.
I've never been.
All that. It was.
But I heard it was like top-notch food. Everything.
And they had
Everything's just
dude,
just
and
like-
they have a band playing when you're walking in. It's
Yep.
like
big drum line, like
Yeah,
big
big drum-
patio. It's
oh,
always nice
yeah.
weather, so you know.
if I could, I don't.
They're trying to
know.
get the folks, man, that
and they are and
that
they're
are
gonna-
going from Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana, all the snowbirds that are not going to be snowbirds anymore.
Yep.
They're like going to Nevada, Arizona.
Henderson, Nevada's a really
Right.
cool spot.
Yeah. Like they're going there. They're going to Florida. They're not going back north anymore.
Yeah.
But they still like hockey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you can easily like, all right, well, I guess I'm going to cheer for the Lightning. Go Penguins, but I don't live in Pittsburgh anymore.
Right.
Yeah.
And they're going to switch.
And I go to buy a 10-game
Yeah.
package because I'm here, so that'd be
Right.
kind of fun thing to do.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
And they're going to kill it down there. I mean,
Yes.
yeah, they are. But it does seem like it's totally planned. And there's a little bit of a conspiracy theory, kind of like,
like
Gretzky.
with how good they are.
Yes. Las
I think it's
Vegas,
I think it's
Tampa.
twofold. One, the league set it up where
Their farm
Vegas was
system's
able
good.
to manipulate the expansion draft a little.
Yeah.
But the GM there in Vegas did a great job just saying, well, you guys are all dumb, the rest of the league, and kind of was able to pick a bunch of guys that, because really you look at their roster, like there's guys that were they were good players, but they weren't ever the superstar where they were, and they weren't ever, like something was always off with them.
Yeah.
And he was like, no, they're just a great player. They're just young, so we'll bring them in here and then they'll be stars.
Yeah.
You know?
And I guess Tampa Bay is kind of like that, but it just seems weird to me. Hey, we don't have any market penetration in Los Angeles. I know what we'll do.
yeah, get Gretzky there.
We'll just somehow work out to have the greatest player at the time of all time go to the largest market in the entire country.
Where sure that devastated, and I mean
course.
devastated Edmonton. For
Absolutely.
a while. But
Yeah.
those fans were going whether they're winning 10 games
Correct.
or 100.
Doesn't matter, right? So you need LA.
They're not
like
giving up
Tampa.
their season
No.
tickets. No.
Fastest growing states in the country. If you look up the list, these states are on the list. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like I get what they're trying to do. It just seems smells a little funny.
Do you have a hard stop for time?
I do.
5:10, 5:15. What
Okay.
time is it?
Yeah. So we're going to start wrapping it up. So the couple things with regard to like one, I think that when you talk about your culture, and I think you talk about some of the stuff on, there you go. So when you talk about culture, I think it's so cool to hear from somebody who oftentimes we are sending angry text messages back and forth to each other when the Bulldogs are playing the Sioux.
All with love.
All with love, and and so we're chirping each other significantly. But I really, really think that it's super cool. One, that you're young enough to like relate to the kids. That you've been there, you've played there, you have what were the three things that you were talking about?
Effort, attitude, and perseverance.
EAP, baby.
It's so cool to be able to.
See, I almost brought Busch Light. It is my beer of choice. That's
sorry.
the Iowan in me.
I literally just came in with whatever
like
I had in my fridge.
Speaking
so.
of, I've never been disappointed drinking a Busch Light.
yeah, you know what
ever
you're
in my
getting?
entire life.
Oh, it's so good.
Ever.
Well, we're gonna get Busch Light to be a sponsor.
I'm serious.
You should.
That would be great.
I'm like, oh, it's so hot on this lake.
So the point is, I think it's super cool that you can relate to the kids. You're young enough to relate to the kids. You're old enough to have some life perspective. And talking about that from a culture perspective, it's not, I mean, wins and losses matter. When you're a varsity
We compete.
boys
We
hockey
wanna
coach,
win. Let's
you
be
want to
real.
win. Like winning matters. But what also matters is making sure that you have these kids that can walk out of high school knowing that they're not going to play another seriously competitive hockey game, that they can go take the same structure, the same pursuit, the same disciplines, and go do something good with their life. And I think that's super cool to hear from you that I haven't heard from you before, even though we've talked about hockey a lot. So I think that's really, really cool that you got the position, and I think you're going to be successful at it.
No, I appreciate it. And really, like, for me, I look at it like my purpose or what I'm trying to accomplish and what our staff is on board with accomplishing is really like, how do we do the best job maximizing each kid that we get to become the best human that they can be while we get the chance to work with them. And the rest kind of takes care of itself.
If you do that, you'll win games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So,
I
I mean,
mean,
yeah.
you know, to me, it's whether you're the worst, you know, least talented player on our JV up through our top varsity player, we're very big on it's a family. We all are bigger than ourselves. You're playing for not only you, you're playing for your family, you're playing for the logo, which represents who wore it before you, your school, your community, and hopefully is something that people can get excited about. And so when you see our logo in the community, you know, wow, that kid does things the right way. He works hard. He shows up. He's a good teammate. He's going to be a good community member. He's going to be involved someday. Going to raise a family one way or the other if he chooses to do so. And do all that the right way. And to me, the most gratifying thing that I've seen come from my 8 years of coaching at West is when, you know, we're out having a beer or something and somebody stops by and it's a former player and you're talking and they're telling you all about life, and then all of a sudden they're buying you a beer, you're buying them a beer, and then it's an hour later conversation. And to me, that's why you do it.
Yeah.
Because now I know.
Yeah, I love free beers.
Yeah, I mean, cold and free, two best kinds. But seriously, I mean, that to me is how you know you're making a difference and really, you know, doing something purposeful. And we live in a community that's very giving, very volunteer oriented, and so it's easy for opportunities to arise for us to get involved, and then make that a routine for these kids for 3 or 4 years while they got them too. And so not only that, but like, I mean, 30 to 50% of people that grow up here probably stay here. I don't know if that's a true number, but it seems like it.
But it's a lot. Yeah.
A boot.
Right.
A boot.
A boot.
So, you know, to have those kids be ready to go into our community and be difference makers, I think is our number one goal. And we've seen a lot of success because of that. I think we've won hockey games we probably shouldn't have because of that.
Yeah, because you have the camaraderie between the guys that are in the locker room.
Just a mental aspect of the game.
Which is a significant portion of it.
At least
We're all pulling the rope together.
Yeah.
I mean, and just like if something were to happen to our town, I think you would see an immense amount of support for people to come out and help and work together to make a difference. And we try and do that on a smaller level with 34 kids every year.
Yeah, and I think we're not that far away in age, and I think
that's probably more than you think, though.
Well, my
He's definitely a lot younger than
you're getting a little grayer.
I know, really great. I got 4 kids now. So
how old are you, Coach?
28. I'll be 29 in November.
You're 28, and you're 30.
34.
6 years, 6 whole years.
What, would you stop? I'm trying to make a point here.
I know, you're just like
good, like
it's
wrap
just,
up.
oh my God, it's taking forever. Holy crap, we're all getting older, waiting for this point to be made.
Okay, we're gonna be done because Wade tells me we need to be done,
Jeez.
and we're right on time.
God
so,
dang it!
Want to say super thank you for coming in. You get your pastel pencil sticker.
What was your point?
You gotta. Oh, I can't do it anymore because we're out of time.
Thanks for having me, though. I appreciate it.
And congratulations on your wedding, and that was super amazing. Thank you for the invite on that. That was amazing, and really
You're trying
excited.
to rub it in more to Wade that he didn't get invited.
No.
I know. I'm just like, what's that?
I'm not. I'm just saying thank you. Can I just say thank you? You guys are beating me up.
I mean, that's like the fifth time the wedding's. I know my wife's great.
He's not even going to make his point. We got plenty of time. He's just going to just leave us hanging.
I'm gonna
now.
have another beer and not listen to you guys anymore.
That's fine.
You're probably gonna go fishing.
No, I'm not actually tonight. I gotta do some work tonight, but.
Well, your son's a better fisherman than you now.
Yeah, we won our last bass tournament.
I did see that.
Yeah, we
That's
got
awesome.
first place. Yeah.
Little donation coming out.
Yeah, he's gonna fish for the University of Minnesota Duluth. I'm gonna make it happen.
Yes, he is. Dang it.
All right, Wade's gonna answer his phone call.
No, I'm
and
not. It's
we
my wife
are gonna
calling like normal.
Peace out. Right? Are we done now?
Favorite hockey movie? Okay. I asked the East Coach the same thing. Asked the West Side the same thing. What is your favorite hockey movie?
Boy, Youngblood and Mystery Alaska are two awesome movies, and I love those two movies. Boy, that's hard. Mighty Ducks are good. Miracle's a little bit too much Disney, but I love the purpose of it all. You know? Yeah. I mean, it's everything you love about hockey, but it is very Hollywood.
Yeah.
I think Mystery Alaska, maybe, just because I love
What
the
did you say?
connection
He's
of it
skating
all.
the river. Yeah. What's his name in there?
Is it like Russell Crowe's character?
No. I'm talking.
No,
this
it's
is Mystery
the
Alaska.
kid, right?
Yeah. What's the
the
kid's
kid,
name?
Takes his
Is it you? Yeah, you hear he's been skating the river. Ooh, he's been skating the river, eh?
Well, like, what did you say? Mystery Alaska or Miracle?
I think I said Miracle.
Yeah, I think.
Just because you watch it every time and you don't get bored watching the end.
Miracle?
Yes.
It's just that's such a culminating thing
Yeah.
that happened in life, and like
Yeah.
people, you ever get asked the question like, "What's one sporting event if you were alive you would go back?"
Would you go see it?
100% would be that.
Yeah.
Yep.
But just because it was so much bigger than hockey, which
yes.
to me is the whole sport.
It's
Yes.
like Rocky IV with hockey.
Yeah, kind of.
Yeah.
Seriously?
Really is. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then is Happy Gilmore a hockey movie?
No.
I agree.
Agreed.
Is Die Hard a Christmas movie?
Yes.
I agree.
Yes, it is.
I think it is
It's
too.
a total Christmas
Yeah,
movie.
I think it is too.
I agree 100% with that.
Yeah, I think
All
it
right,
is too.
Nate has to go. We need to sign off. So,
All right.
Someone Podcast. Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody. Thank you, Tony.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.